Mentioned your numbers were pretty dubious, he thought, on YouTube. If you had seen that comment, if you had any comment on that.
Yeah, no, I responded jokingly to it just a little bit ago. I think it was a couple days ago, and I think it's great. I think any time that people can throw stuff at me like that, I enjoy it. I appreciate it, and I think it's good for ultimately the game of golf because it starts to spur conversation on and. Ultimately, on YouTube, you have to be verified to be able to subscribe and whatnot. So, don't think it's really that honest or true, but it is what it is. I mean, anytime you can say something like that and create more buzz for the game of golf, it's great.
Up to Kevin on 12.
Bryson up here. You've talked a little bit about how much fun you've had team room and how much you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what was it like to not be a part of the team 2 years ago?
Yeah, it sucked. I wanted to be there. Didn't play well enough in the majors. Knew what I was up against when I went to live, and that's a whole nother conversation. But I still wanted to make the team and wasn't able to. And seeing the guys lose really put a fire in my stomach, and wanted to make the team this time around. And now we're here, and we're a day away from starting probably, if not the most exciting golf event in golf.
Right here, Mike, 3.
Bryson, obviously a lot of chatter about your connection to the fans. Given your popularity, do you consider it more of a responsibility or an opportunity to fire up the crowds this week?
I feel like it's an amazing opportunity. New York fans are incredible. I've been up here a few times playing, and as rowdy and ruckus as they get, they still love the game of golf. Having Keegan be from around here, St. John's, and what he's done to fire up this state, this city, and our team ultimately is inspiring for us as a team to go out and represent in the best way possible. And I couldn't be more excited for the opportunity to hopefully get them riled up and, excited for what's to come.
How much better equipped are you to do that now than, say, 4 years ago?
Man, it's a great question, actually. 4 years ago, I wouldn't have been as open or ready, I guess you could say, for this moment. And you'll never be fully ready for what's to come tomorrow or the next few days. But the experience certainly does help. And hopefully I can use that to the best of my ability and hit some great shots when it matters most.
Thanks.
Mike, 14.
Yeah, hi, Bryson. Can you just articulate to us what it means to you to be back in the Ryder Cup team and representing America? Just add, and how do you think the presence of Donald Trump here this weekend is going to help inspire you to victory?
I hope he'll inspire us to victory. I think he'll be a great force for us to get a lot of people on our side, and I think it'll be interesting and exciting to see how the crowd and everybody reacts. It's going to be an electric environment. And that was the first question again?
What it means to you to be back representing the Ryder, how important it is for you.
Yeah, I think, when I missed the Olympics because of COVID, and I got COVID and wasn't able to represent my country, that was a pretty big shot to the heart. Playing in team events my whole entire life, playing in the Walker Cup, World Amateur, numerous other team events. It's all I wanted to do growing up, and then being on the Ryder Cup for a winning team and a losing team, experiencing both the highs and the lows, and then missing in Rome. This has put something in my stomach that's kind of made it a mission project for me. I want to be a part of this team and be the most helpful person I can for this team in whatever way possible that is. The words really aren't there right now to explain how passionate I am about this USA team and how good I think we are and how positive we are and how encouraging we are, inspiring we are, and what this captain has done to bring us together, to band us together like possibly no other captain's done in the history. So.
Over to Alex Maselli, 9.
Yeah. Hey, Bryson, so how different is the team accepted you this time round than when you were at Whistling Straits?
I felt like it was pretty good in 2021 as well. Alex, I don't know if it was, I mean, maybe people were saying other things, but no matter the case, this go around, I mean, the amount of calls I got when I was on the team and from players, it was amazing, and the support, all the vice captains and every player texting me, calling me, and welcoming me on the team was quite emotional for me, and it made me more passionate about this team and excited to be a part of what we're trying to accomplish this week, what we can accomplish this week, what we will.
And to follow up, is it different being on this team because of the fact that it wasn't as easy to get on this team as it was 4 years ago?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, obviously you only got 8 chances to get on
Yeah.
this team, and when you were playing on the PGA Tour, you could play as many events as you wanted to get points. So I mean, it's a big difference between trying to get on that team 4 years ago and what it's been like to try to get on this team.
Yeah, every tournament I play in, I try to do my best. So whether it was the majors or other tournaments, I was still trying to make the team in whatever way possible. Playing those majors were very important, obviously. We all know that. And making this team was a passion project of mine. It was A1. It was the thing I wanted to do most, represent my country. And playing as well as I did in the majors obviously gave me that opportunity to do so. And I guess you could say I focused quite a bit on the majors. I have been for the past few years, but I just feel like my game's in a way better spot, and one that can help this USA team hopefully to another level.
Up top to 19, please.
Hi, Bryson. Just wondering, you talk a lot about your passion for being part of the team. What kind of a team member do you see yourself as? Are you a leader who is willing to really help the rookies and maybe partner with the rookies, or is it a case of being part of a blockbusting pairing?
I view myself as support. Like, I'm there to help in whatever way possible, whether it's emotionally or leadership. It's more of just getting people excited and ready to go and pumping people up and hopefully giving people some energy, really good energy out there. I'm one that can get down on myself, but over the course of my career, I've learned to curb that and learn how to use that and turn it into a positive momentum, and helping people realize what we're here for, what we're doing, why we're playing this week is top priority for me, and being support.
And in terms of the course setup, how energized are you seeing, presumably, as something that really suits your eye?
Yeah. When I played in 2019, I didn't hit it as far, and the golf course was a beast. Rough was a lot longer. This week, I'm hitting it quite a bit further, and rough isn't as penalizing, so it's going to be fun to see how this golf course presents itself for us in these types of conditions. It's a little softer, but being match play, and that's going to provide a unique challenge for all of us, and hopefully I can do some fun stuff this week.
Finish up with Sean over here on 10.
Bryson, you and Rory have had some pretty great matches on the course in majors.
Yeah.
There's also been plenty of viral quotes kind of about him talking about you and you occasionally talking about him. Does it feel like there's a rivalry there?
Well, look, I think rivalries are good for the game of golf, and albeit I have the ultimate respect for Rory as a player. It's going to be fun to go up against him this week, whether it's against him directly or through other players. I think it's going to be a fun challenge this week. Would I love to go up against him? Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. Is it going to happen? It's not likely. I mean, maybe once. You never know. I don't know if there's planning behind the scenes or whatnot, but no, look, he's a fierce competitor, a great competitor, but one that I'd love the opportunity to play against this week.
Thanks for your time, Bryson. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Harris.
I figured that. I figured that.
Harris English is with us now at the 2025 Ryder Cup. Harris, welcome to your second Ryder Cup. We'll go ahead and get started with questions right here on mic 6.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you about Keegan as captain. If there's an example maybe you could share that would kind of illustrate how he's been, his personality, and what his leadership style has been like.
I mean, what you see with him on the golf course is what you see as captain. He's got so much fire, so much passion. I mean, every day he thinks about the Ryder Cup, and he's instilling that on us. And he's been incredible at some of the team speeches. He's a big video guy, which I am as well. Very inspirational. It's been incredible. It's been incredible to see him kind of as a leader, and he's been unbelievable at it.
Ann?
Harris, how you doing? How do you think your calm demeanor will impact the team when you're, especially with guys like Bryson who love getting the fans excited and revved up?
Yeah, I love that from them. Everybody's kind of their own individual. Talked about that with some of the guys on the team. Like, I'm pretty calm on the course and even keeled, but I love guys to get fired up because that brings that side of me out. I mean, you see it occasionally in some tournaments on the PGA Tour, but this is a whole different deal where you're playing for bigger than yourself, and I've got to show some of that fire and bring that energy. That's what I'm focused on this week.
Right here, Cameron.
I know you weren't on the team in Rome in 2023, but what about the Ryder Cup week have you missed the most about now that you've kind of gotten back in the team room and everything over the last few days?
Just being around the guys. I mean, even playing practice rounds out there, hitting different shots around the greens. Just everybody's much more open into sharing their insight on kind of how they hit different shots and their approach to prep for a tournament. So I feel like for me, being around a lot of these guys that I look up to, yeah, we play week in, week out against each other, but it's nice to pick up some little tidbits of how they prepare and how they hit different shots, and everybody is very open into helping the team as a whole to get better and learning on this golf course.
And what did you learn most about the Ryder Cup that 4 years ago that you can take into your preparation this week, or that has helped you be ready for what's to come?
Yeah, just kind of knowing how this week's going to go. I mean, these first few days, they're long. We've got a lot going on with the gala and the opening ceremony. I mean, it's so much different than just a normal week. And we each have our own routines, but you kind of get out of that routine and embrace it. I love being around the team. I love all the activities that we're doing, of kind of these bonding activities that I think will last for a lifetime.
Over to 9.
You start. All right. Hey, Harris. I think it's pretty obvious that the golf course is playing a fair bit easier than it has certainly at previous majors and or PGA Tour events here with the lower rough and now the softer conditions. Ask you to speculate a little bit here, but if you guys were playing stroke play, what kind of number do you think numbers might be out there?
For a 4-round tournament, I'd probably say 18 to 20 under. I mean, it can still bite you out there, especially that back nine. If you miss a couple drives, you're having some kind of mid-irons into the greens, and you can start missing in some pretty bad places. But, yeah, this is not the normal Bethpage Black that we're used to. You're going to see a lot more birdies out there than you normally would in the PGA or the U.S. Open. But I think that's great, and that's what we're ready for.
And then just quick, unrelated follow-up. There's been a lot of chatter about how good Bryson has been in the team room this week. Could you maybe give a specific example that might illuminate that?
Yeah, I mean, he's been awesome. I'm not really big into the Instagram or the TikTok or Snapchat, so when we're at the opening ceremony kind of standing around getting ready to go, he was kind of taking me through all the stuff he does, and that's kind of a different world that I'm not used to seeing. I do Twitter, and I follow a lot of Georgia football stuff, Jaguars stuff, so I'm not in the world he's in, but it was kind of cool to get that insight of what he does, and his plan of growing the game as much as possible and trying to relate to kids and bringing kids to the game of golf, which I think is really cool.
Dylan?
Yeah, I was going to ask you what's something specific that you've learned about another one of your teammates. I think that might be number one on the list, but does anyone else come to mind this week?
I've just grown closer to that I
Yeah. Any fun facts you might have learned?
And, I mean, I've been spending a lot of time with Russell this week. It's nice to get back playing a lot of golf with him. We've grown up together. I've played with him since I was probably 10 years old, and obviously the same year at the University of Georgia, we were roommates for 2 years, and just kind of talking a lot about what we've been through our lives, and finally we're 36 years old. We're both playing on the Ryder Cup team at Bethpage. Like, if you would have told us that when we were 14 years old playing in Southeastern Junior Golf Tour events, like, we wouldn't have believed it. And it's been really cool to share that experience with him and kind of lean on each other. I mean, this is his first Ryder Cup. I know he's played the last President's Cup, but not that I need to help him out a whole lot, but just kind of give him some insight on what I learned at Whistling Straits. And it's just been really cool for me to share that experience with him.
Yeah, is that emotional to think about? I mean, you know, we hear so much now about how young the game is getting and how ready guys are out of college to kind of think of, you know, two guys that have had great tour careers now being on the same team at the same time, you know, now that you guys are in your 30s.
Yeah, just a lot of gratitude. I mean, that's kind of what Keegan has preached a little bit to us, and kind of what I've been thinking about this whole year is I mean, ultimately this might be my last Ryder Cup, and I'm okay with that. You never know what's going to happen in 2 years or where this game takes you. So I'm trying to stay as present as possible and soak it all in and enjoy the moment. And then when the gun goes off on Friday, to give it everything I have.
Over here to Mike 14.
Harris, there's been kind of a narrative, whether fair or unfair, that the European team is more close, they care more. Is that something you guys have kind of talked about in your team room?
We haven't really talked about what they're doing at all. We're focused really on what we do, and Keegan has hit on a few points and getting us ready to go. We don't really pay attention to what those guys are doing, and we're going to do the best job we can and get everybody for the common goal and working on trying to get this Ryder Cup back.
Thanks. Paul on 12.
Harris, you played in 21 just 4-ball with Tony both sessions. Was that kind of always in your prep? And then this year, maybe with a little bit more optionality, how like prepping for foursomes has gone for you?
Yeah, I mean, Tony Finau was unbelievable partner, one of the best dudes I've ever played with. So yeah, kind of easing me into the Ryder Cup. That was my rookie year on the Ryder Cup team, and yeah, obviously best ball is a little easier of a format for us to play because you're playing your own ball, kind of your own strategy, and foursomes is different. I've kind of done both this week and kind of ready for whatever captain wants me to play. I've told him if he just wants me to play one match, if he wants to play 5 matches, I'm going to be ready. And yeah, trying out some different balls, getting in the rhythm of foursomes a little bit, and a little bit of different strategy that you have to work on.
I know you're not a guy that tweaks a ton, so when a new ball gets thrown in there, like what's the process for you to kind of try to figure some of that stuff out?
It's a lot of, I think off the driver is pretty easy to figure out, but it's a lot of the iron shots, wedge shots, making sure you're hitting the windows that you want to hit and seeing if the ball spins a little more or spins a little less, and also a little bit around the green. I mean, the cover can be a lot of how soft it comes off or firm, and a little bit with the putter. I mean, it's a lot more that goes into it than people think of putting or chipping a different golf ball, and definitely prepped some last week at home with that, and been prepping this week for that as well, if that opportunity arises.
Take one more up top, 16.
Hey, Harris. Just wanted to ask you about your caddy. Eric obviously was missing at the Open. You have him here. What was it like to obviously not have him, and what's the importance? What's the relationship going to be like this week? How are you going to rely on him, I guess, a hell of a lot?
Yeah, we were all disappointed that he couldn't come over to the Scottish Open and the Open Championship. I mean, he's been a massive part of my team for the last 8 years or so. He caddied for me at Whistling Straits. I mean, he's the best guy in the world. It means a lot to me, and He's been pushing me to get back here. He believes in me probably more than anyone out there. So I appreciate his support and everything he does for me. And this is as much about me getting back here as it is him, and I want him to enjoy every moment. He's getting older too, so you never know if he's going to be back here as well. So he's having a good time. He's one of the favorites amongst the players and caddies, and obviously with his story of being in prison, I mean, he has seen kind of some dark places, and to get here and to see these crowds and to be in this moment is very special for him.
Thanks for your time, Harris. We appreciate it.
All right.
Sam Burns joins us now at the 2025 Ryder Cup. Sam, welcome to your second Ryder Cup. Let's go ahead and jump right into some questions here. Mike 16.
Hey, Sam. Just wanted to ask you about your relationship with Donald Trump, obviously coming tomorrow. I think he said after the BMW Championship that you could eat safely in Washington, D.C. now, but I just wanted to expand on your relationship and what it means to you for him coming tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's a huge honor to have our president come to this event and support our team. This is about representing our country and representing the United States of America, and who better to represent that than the president? So I think we're all excited.
Right here on 3, Cameron.
Making your Ryder Cup debut a couple years ago in Rome, how much are you looking forward to being able to experience this atmosphere at home this time?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's obviously very different playing away versus home, and I haven't experienced a Ryder Cup at home yet, but just these last couple of days with having the support of the fans out here, and then playing a President's Cup in Charlotte, pretty similar. So it's been great. I think these New York fans are very excited to have us here, and they love their sports, and we're going to try to go out there and give them a show and play our best, and hopefully kind of feed into that support.
How much of what happened in Rome has kind of been on your mind, or maybe even a sour taste in your mouth over the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think as competitors, losing's never fun. It doesn't matter what sport or what game, whatever it is, losing sucks in general. And so I think, for me and for us, we want to use those memories as fuel this week. And, as we prepare, I think everyone that was on that team or watched, vividly remembers what that feels like. And so, you don't want that feeling again.
Go over to 9, starting with Dylan.
What do you love so much about match play? You've had a bunch of success.
Well, I think for one, it's such a different style than what we typically are used to week in and week out. It's either me and someone else against 2 other people, or you against the person standing on the tee, with you. And so I think it's just a totally different animal. And it's, a lot of times, like, if you make a mistake on a hole, or you make a big number on a hole, the worst thing that can happen is you lose one hole. And I think that's the really cool part of match play is, things can happen, in a weird way that you typically don't see in stroke play. And so I think, you see big swings in matches or pivotal moments in matches where you can really use momentum. So stuff like that, I think I enjoy that part of it.
Did you see Coach O out here this week?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Do you guys have a relationship?
A little bit. I've seen him a few times, since our time at LSU, but it was great seeing him out here, and, he obviously loves being out with the fans and kind of spurring them on. He's a perfect person for that.
Go ahead.
Hey, Sam. Obviously, being a good putter requires technical skills, but I'm wondering, like weeks like this, how much of the guys who really thrive, how much of it is managing your nerves over, those sort of 5 to 8 footers?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I try to approach it the same as any other putt. For me, I try to first off read it the correct way, and then I try to keep putting as simple as possible. I think there's so many things that happen after you hit a putt that are out of your control that, whether it hits a spike mark or an imperfection in the green or the wind blows it, there's just so many things that can happen. So for me, I try to read it, start it on the line I want to with the right speed, and after that, whatever happens, happens. And I think that's the best way to approach putting for myself.
But that element of like controlling the jitters, I mean, I imagine you guys all feel it, no matter how good a putter you are. I mean, is there anything you do in particular that sort of helps you manage that piece of it?
Yeah, sure. I think, for starters, making sure that you putt when you're ready to putt. I think sometimes things can happen kind of quickly, and so just making sure you're kind of settled in and, not rushing it or making sure you take the appropriate amount of time to kind of settle into your routine. But yeah, there's definitely nerves, there's definitely excitement. And it's just, kind of settling yourself down and realizing that, a 6-footer is a 6-footer. It's a lot more difficult to do when you're out there, but I think that's the kind of simplest form of doing that.
Dan, go ahead.
There's been a lot of talk about the money this week and the stipend. What do you make of this notion that if guys are getting paid, then somehow it's it's not as pure, or they're not playing for their country in some way?
Yeah, to be honest, my personal opinion is I'm extremely grateful that the PGA of America is doing this. I live in a small town in Louisiana, and that amount of money in that community for those charities is going to go a long ways. And so for me personally, it's going to have a huge impact on our community. And I'm just extremely grateful that we get that opportunity.
And then yesterday, Luke Donald said he said, we're not here for prize money. Did you guys take that as sort of a subtle jab?
I mean, to be honest, like for us, being able to steward that money in our own communities at home, I think that's a great thing. And I think the PGA of America giving this opportunity for us to do that is really special.
Up to mic 5.
Hey, Sam, over here. Having played in a Ryder Cup before, how different are those interactions with the Europeans that you're playing with as opposed to maybe a guy or two that you're playing with in a normal PGA Tour event?
Yeah, there's probably a lot less small talk. I think in a normal week, a normal PGA Tour round, time between shots, you're usually talking about something, families and kids or, whatever it is. But this week, I think you're just kind of a little more focused on, either talking with your teammate or whoever you're playing with, your caddy, just a little more focused on kind of your little bubble.
Was there a lot of chirping involved the last time?
In Rome?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Not that I really recall.
We'll finish up way up top there, 16.
Hi, Sam. Back on the topic of putting, with Black typically having very subtle breaks, there's not a ton of undulation on them. Just curious, any insight into your green reading process, if that changes things, or your final thought, before pulling the trigger on maybe it's straight, a little bit of break. How do you, what's the last thought in your head there?
I would say the last thought is, for me, it's committing to a line that I've read. I think the worst thing you can do in putting is kind of be unsure. Because a lot of times if you're unsure, you don't really make a good stroke or don't really have good speed. So really it's just committing to that line, trying to make a good stroke, and then being able to accept the result.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Sam. We appreciate it. Ben Griffin is with us now at the 2025 Ryder Cup. Ben, welcome to your first Ryder Cup. We'll go ahead and jump into questions, starting right here with Adam.
Ben, this nickname, Benny Booms, who coined it? Do you like it? And do you think it's going to stick?
I think Eric Lottery came up with it in his video that he did of me at the St. Jude in Memphis, FedEx St. Jude. I don't know if it's going to stick or not, but it seems like it stuck with you, so.
Cameron?
Ben, I remember we spoke in Houston, and you had that was your 12th straight week. You ended up playing 13 weeks trying to qualify for the Masters. When you look back 6 months ago to where you're sitting now, how do you try to encapsulate everything that's happened in your career?
Yeah, it's been a busy year for me. Played a lot of events, for sure. I felt like this year it's kind of, I've played for a lot kind of every single week. I've built my game up a lot over the course of the season. You know, if you look at where I was at the start of the year, kind of one of those guys who had finished between 50 and 60 on the FedEx Cup the previous 2 seasons. This year, obviously, was more breakthrough, but kind of going through the season, I was kind of gradually getting closer and closer to kind of getting to the next step of professional golf in the PGA Tour, of like getting into the signature events, getting into the majors. And I felt like I did a really good job of kind of letting my game not wander off and staying focused to the plan and just continuing to build. And so that's why I kind of competed 13 straight weeks. I was only going to play 6, but I was playing well, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go play in Mexico. Started playing well, had a couple top 5s in a row in Mexico, and also the Cognizant. That got me into Bay Hill because of the Aon Swing 5. I'm in the signature events now, kind of, and so now I've got to add those to my schedule. Going into this season, I wasn't necessarily in those, so I was maybe thinking about taking a week off somewhere in there. So I just kind of continued to qualify, and unfortunately, I fell, fractionally short of making the Masters, being 51 in the world, and it came down to, Michael Kim's putt on the last hole was the difference between him being in that field and me being in that field, which is crazy, really crazy for that to happen. I don't think that's ever really happened going into that last Masters cutoff. So I had a couple weeks there, and then came out of those 2 weeks and won the Zurich Classic with Andrew. So now I've kind of broken through as a PGA Tour winner, built a lot of confidence, and then I kind of parlayed that into winning the Charles Schwab and finishing top 10 at the PGA. And all these, I just kind of gradually got more and more momentum as the season kind of progressed, and continued to believe in myself, and gained a ton of confidence every single week I played. And then this summer was pretty much just consistent top 15s. If you look at my last, I think it's my last 13 or 14 events, I've finished top 15 almost every week. And it's been really solid golf. I haven't been in the mix as much as I was kind of in the spring, but then got back in the mix in Napa. Napa was a weird week because I felt like I was just bonding with all my teammates most of the week. And then I kind of woke up on 17 or 16. I'm like, oh, I've got a chance to win this right now. Even though I had the lead all week, it was just, it was an interesting week as competing as a PGA Tour player, because a lot of those guys were kind of like me maybe the previous 2 seasons. They're grinding to try to finish in the top 60 on the FedEx Fall, or grinding to keep their PGA Tour card. For me, that was a free week, and so I was just going out there trying to gain confidence going into this week, and sure enough got in the mix, and it was good to feel some of those nerves and get those feelings down the stretch, because there's no doubt I'm going to have some of those same feelings going into this week. Sorry for the long answer.
Over to Ian.
Yep.
How would you then describe your comfort level here in the last couple days in terms of nerves? And have you picked up any kind of advice on staying calm come tomorrow?
Yeah, I think everyone on this team's here for the right reasons. We're all very accomplished golfers and believe in ourselves a lot and have a ton of confidence. And just because I'm a rookie doesn't mean I'm nervous and don't know what I'm doing out there. I feel very calm, composed, and honestly really excited. It's been really fun getting to know every guy on this team more. I knew everyone going into, even before the selections were even going on with the Ryder Cup, and this team's actually much closer than what a lot's portrayed out there. We're having a ton of fun in the team rooms. Captain Keegan's doing an awesome job of keeping us all focused on the task at hand, but also making sure we're embracing all these moments together. And it's been incredible out there with the fans early on in this week. I know it's going to get even crazier, but yeah, I feel very relaxed and calm right now. Now I know when I go through that tunnel on the first tee on Friday, there's going to be a lot more emotions that go through, but I'm ready for it.
Top right corner there, 15.
Ben, you've been grouped with Bryson in practice each of the last 3 days. As you've played together, what have you learned about him as a teammate, and what have the crowds following you guys been like?
I outdrove him once, so I'm feeling pretty good. No, Bryson's amazing. He's been awesome to have on this team. He's a huge asset for us. Played a lot of golf with him this week. Had gotten to know him prior, not only in Napa, but previous to that. And so he's got an incredible amount of talent. It's been awesome to honestly talk to him about his thoughts on equipment and his process and learn about kind of how he goes through his process, because it's a lot different than what all of us do. If you just look at it from an equipment side and green reading and everything like that. So it's been cool it's cool because these team events is, you finally feel comfortable asking other competitors how they think about things, what they work on. When you're playing in regular tour events, no one wants to really share much. You kind of stick to your own stuff. And so it's really cool to kind of learn from every guy and how they think their way around golf courses. And yeah, Bryson's just an example of one that's maybe a little bit more unique than the rest of the teammates.
Dan, go ahead.
Guys in the past have said that it wasn't until their first Ryder Cup that they really felt like they sort of belonged, or that there's a sort of shift that happens when you get to that level. Can you understand why guys say that?
Yeah, I think there's maybe not necessarily like an intimidation factor when you first get on tour, but there's definitely a separation you feel between being like a rookie on tour and being a top player. When you're a top player, you're kind of around top players a lot, whether it's tee times on the PGA Tour. You're grouped together all the time if you're a major champion or a PGA Tour winner. So you're never really around the guys that are at the top. So my first 2 years on tour, I hadn't won, so I'd never played around with Justin Thomas, never played around with Jordan Spieth, never played around with Ricky Fowler. Like, there's a ton of top names in golf at the time when I would just turned pro that I just never would kind of see because I'm in different tee time waves. And then on the weekends, you don't know what you're going to get. But if you're grouped in a certain tee time wave early and you finish at the same time as maybe the guys you're playing with, you're probably playing with those same guys if you have the same score on the weekend on Saturday. So unless you get kind of paired at the top on Sundays, you're not playing with a lot of those guys. So it's hard to build those friendships early on tour. Now, when you start playing really well and you kind of work your way to a top player, you kind of get closer with the guys that you're closest around. So, I'm still friends with a lot of guys on the Korn Ferry Tour and a lot of guys that are grinding right now to kind of keep their PGA Tour cards. But now I'm also getting introduced to more guys that are, elite players in this game. So I have a huge mix of friendships right now, which is interesting. And I feel like you see that in all sorts in any realm of life. Your closest friends are the ones you're hanging out with the most or around the most, whether it's in work or outside of work. And, being a PGA Tour golfer, it's pretty much work around the clock. Unless you're home and on an off week, you don't know if other guys are going to be home that off week or if they're playing somewhere. So you're kind of always around the guys that you're paired with, or if you're playing really well, the guys you're with on the weekend and tour events. But even final rounds and tour events, you're not talking to your competitor that much, especially if they're a top player, because you're trying to win the golf tournament. So it's hard to kind of break in and become friends with guys that you haven't been around much. So if you look at a guy like me, I had never won on tour until April. So, I played practice rounds with Justin Thomas before, but I had never gotten really that close with him until kind of this summer. And you look at other guys on the team. Scotty, Sam Burns, Colin, I've known since junior golf, but everyone's kind of on their own schedules. And if I'm in different tee time groupings on tour events, I'm just not going to see them very much. And so it's interesting how that dynamic works. But I feel like I have friends that are grinding on the PGA Americas, guys that are grinding on the Korn Ferry Tour, because I've kind of had this pretty quick trajectory in golf where I still have friends that are kind of trying to break through.
Back up top to Paul up 16.
And these events tend to bring out different sides of players. Do you have a sense of what you'll be like in big moments when they happen on the course? Animated, subdued? Do you kind of know what you're going to feel?
I definitely will feed some emotions off with the crowd. There's no doubt about that. We see it from every player. Hopefully we get some emotion from Cameron Young this week. I think we will. But no, most tour events you don't have that because we don't play match play very much or ever now. It's really just here. And in match play, the format just brings that out. Because in stroke play events, like if you're fist pumping on Friday or Saturday, it's not as meaningful. When you're fist pumping because you made a putt and it's to go one up with 3 to play, has a lot of meaning because you're playing, each and every match is so important. You're playing, 5 tournaments within this one tournament. Every single round you're playing, if you're playing 5 matches. And so it's a different, you're mentally you're going through your rounds differently than you would in any other tour event. And because of that, emotions are going to come out more often. That's why everyone loves the Ryder Cup. And I'm sure I will have some great reactions out there. I hope to have a lot. But I haven't planned anything out. I think it's all going to be raw and real in real time. And I don't know what my body's going to do in those certain moments, but hopefully it looks cool.
Over to 9. Yep.
Ben, I'm wondering, are you aware of the Benny Booms nickname?
I am.
What is the origin story behind it?
Yeah, like Alan? Adam, sorry. Like Adam said, Eric Lottery, he's a content creator. I think he started that in a video that we did at the FedEx St. Jude Classic, or St. Jude Championship for the playoffs. And I think people commented on it, and people needed a nickname for me because I'm a new face, and I guess that one's landed for now. I've also heard a lot of Bethpage Bennies over the last, 4 months. I might like that one a little bit more, but hey, people can say what they want. I'm all open to free speech.
Do you have a nickname?
Hey, Ben, how many players on the U.S. team would you say are capable of driving the green at 1?
Maybe 1. It's only in the right. I mean, right now, looks like the flags are going down. It's a little rainy, but I bet if Bryson went out there right now, he could probably do it. I mean, I witnessed him do it 2 days ago. Everyone else is just probably playing it to the left. I know I certainly am right now. The wind's got to be right. It's got to be hot. It's probably got to be pretty loud.
What would you handicap the odds in the optimal conditions of Bryson driving the green there? If you gave him 10 balls, is he going to hit the green?
If I gave him 10 balls in the right conditions, if he knows he can get it there, I mean, he's going to hit 3, probably on the surface or on the fringe, and 5 are going to be in a bunker or on the green, and then add another 2 that are going to be 20 yards left, and maybe 1 or 2 right. I mean, I don't know, maybe 1 bad one, but he's hitting it pretty good right now. I played a lot with him, and he's pretty confident.
Finish up right here on 7.
Thanks. Hi, Ben. Golf is essentially a solitary sport, as you've said, and the Ryder Cup is one of those exceptions. How much have you bought into the team concept? What do you enjoy most about it? And how much are you looking forward to that first tee experience when it eventually comes around?
Yeah, this has been one of the coolest weeks ever, and it's one that I haven't really experienced since the Wyndham Cup AJGA event in junior golf, where I was competing against Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns, who were representing the west side of the Mississippi, and I was on the east side. So my teammates would have been, Davis Riley, Doug Gim, I believe, Illinois. I got to look at a map. But a lot of PGA Tour players played in that, and that's the last time I've kind of experienced a true team against team event. Actually, I take that back. When I was on the Canadian Tour, the Mackenzie Tour at the time, it was the last year they had what was called the Ryder Cup, but we ended up doing it in I think, Cozumel or Cancun, where the top 12 players from Canada played the top 12 guys who finished on that money list from, or maybe it was top 10 from the Latin America Tour. So that was 7 years ago, into the summer of 2018. So I haven't had that much experience, at least in the last 7 years, other than playing in the Zurich Classic, where I've felt like I've had a team, even though it was a small team with Andrew this past year. But it's been really cool, again, learning from other guys and just being together with guys who all have the same common goal. Sure, every week on tour you have a common goal of trying to win the tournament, but you're not working together to win that tournament. You're working individually to win that tournament and beat the guy you're talking to. And so in this team format, it's just really cool to pull for each and every guy on the team, and everyone's just closer because of it. A guy, for example, a guy like Patrick Cantlay, who's not gonna, he's gonna go about his business on a normal PGA Tour week. A week like this, I've gotten to know Patrick way more, and it's really cool to see him buy into this full team format, and he'll do anything and everything for every single guy on this team, and that's what's so cool and what's not seen because it's behind closed doors. But it's really cool to see how close this team really is. And, you know, I didn't know what a Ryder Cup was really like. I mean, even at the start of this year or 2 years ago, I don't know what previous teams were like. I don't know what other captaincies were like. But seeing it right now, I mean, it's truly indescribable how kind of close we all are kind of getting and how much time we spend with each other. We are on our own schedules a little bit in terms of like working out and physio and sleep. But outside of that, we're together all the time, and it's been really, really cool. And it's memories I'll be able to have for the rest of my life.
First tee, are you looking forward to that? Quite an experience?
Absolutely. It's going to be insane. But yeah, I'm really excited to go through that tunnel and hear the crowd and fire off a good one.
Thanks for your time, Ben. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.